Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to our next installment of Holy Spirit Take the Wheel, the Pathways of Light video series that features Pathways of Light ministers discussing how to apply A Course in Miracles in their life and what their journey looks like. I am thrilled to be joined with Greg Hesch today. Hi, Greg. So
Hey,
wonderful.
Robin. Hey, everybody.
So wonderful to be with you. Greg and I have joined many times in the past via teleconferences and phone calls and things like that. So it's so wonderful to join with him again today. He's a beautiful, beautiful light in our Pathways of Light family. And we'll just jump right into what we always do here is just to open with the very simple question of what does it look like for you now in your journey with all of the learning and the undoing that you've done thus far, Greg? What is it looking like in your life to allow your intuition or the Holy Spirit lead you down the path of awakening to love? And what even comes to you when I ask that question?
Tears. Tears. And uh, my my process is to give thanks all day. It starts before I get out of bed. And it is my way of connecting to the eternal love and peace that's within me, the whole spirit that's within me. So before my feet hit the ground, I'm giving thanks. And then I give trust that I know that I will be guided throughout the whole day because I continue throughout the day hundreds of times to give thanks, to slow the process down that the ego wants me to do. Now, it's just what we all wanted the ego to do, so I'm not fighting it. I don't fight that. I just want to bring those thoughts, especially if Greg gets tripped up in them. The judgments, the fear, the guilt, the hate, the blame, even the rolling of the eyes. I was exercising yesterday, and I generally am with spirit. I'm generally at peace. And I noticed that I rolled my eyes. I don't know what it was, but I noticed that I rolled my eyes. I don't roll my eyes at anybody else, but I noticed that I rolled my eyes at something, at Greg, and I started laughing because I caught it. So that's the next thing that this process is that I watch. I watch the mind for the loving thoughts of the whole spirit. And I watch the thoughts that Greg gets tripped up in, whether it be just the guilt, the fear, the hate, the blame, all of those things, or what's coming up in the future or the past. And a lot of times, if it's in the future or the past, I can laugh at it, especially the past. And whether I'm in my recliner, giving my gratitude, resting spots, which I'm in my recliner doing gratitude a lot during the day, and it's to rest the body because there's body aches and pains that sometimes really make Greg tired. So it's my way to connect with spirit again too. So it's the perfect thing. I don't fight it. I don't want to fight it anymore. I want to just, okay, it's time for me to just get into the recliner and start to connect with the love and the peace within me again. And to remember that this isn't the truth. So it's beautiful when I can, when I'm brushing my teeth, when Greg gets cranky, when I go for walks, when I fold the laundry, when I wash the dishes, when I'm joining with my fellow travelers home. I do that. And before I go to bed, I do the same thing. And I say it. I say thank you over and over again during the night. If I toss and turn, I don't fight it. I just give thanks. I just say thank you for the peace and the love being here. Thank you for reminding me this isn't the truth. And slow the process down. And then I celebrate. I celebrate when I catch the worries, when I catch the fear, or when I catch the blame, or the hate, or the guilt. I celebrate. I don't blame myself. I don't get mad at myself. I don't say nasty, filthy, ugly ego. It isn't. It's what we wanted to see. So I celebrate that I caught it because I was supposed to get tripped up in it. And I don't, and I do. I do. I'm going to be honest. I do. And it's okay because that's where the growth is. It's like the course says in the introduction. This isn't a course in love, of finding love. It's a course in removing the blocks. And so I work on it all day. I work on it all day. There's nothing more enjoyable. There's nothing more peaceful than me doing this. And then when I catch myself speeding up, folding the clothes, speeding up, or, whatever it is, whenever I catch myself, then I bring it and say thank you. That's why I say thank you hundreds of times a day, because I catch it. Or I'm brushing my teeth, I just say thank you that this isn't the truth. When I'm in the other part of the bathroom, thank you. Thank you for reminding me that this is not the truth. And on. But this is my vessel. So I want to honor this vessel. And I want to give thanks to this vessel. And I will do what I can with this vessel, with this body, with Greg, so that I can be more peaceful when I join, whether it be in the mind, with anybody or anything or any situation. I just give thanks, and I want to connect and reconnect whenever I decide to speed things up and get into the world, which is okay because we're still here. We still think we're here. And so it's okay. So that's my journey. That's how I connect to the whole spirit inside of us. And I'm done.
Thank you so much for your sharing. I'm just letting that soak in, and spirit's bringing forward some things for us to explore, for the benefit of all of us. The first thing, just want to thank you for your authenticity, and for your gentleness, and thank you for spirit for bringing that forward for us. What I'm practicing more and more is what you described with the resting. And even when the body is not in a resting state, you talked about doing laundry, going about activities. This idea of resting and slowing down has been hard won for me. I was really convinced and hoodwinked that I needed to do, and go in order to try to feel my own value, and in order to try to get something from that activity. And I have learned that that is not the case. And I'm very grateful for that learning. And so the first thing that I really want to kind of explore and see what comes up out of the conversation is about this idea of slowing down and resting, because many of us, and we seem to have kind of a culture, right? A Western culture, I would say in particular, really emphasizes the doing and the value that you get from doing anything, not a specific task, not a specific job, just doing, just being in an amplified, busy, anxious state. I find that the practice I'm being given to be active with the body, move this vehicle around, and take care of my responsibilities as Robin. You know, I'm responsible for her, and so I need to take care of business, whatever that might look like. Um, and yet behind the doing, there's just this stillness. Even as I'm talking on the phone, as you stated, even if I'm in the middle of taking a shower, even in the middle of whatever it might be, there is a watching. And to me, it's reminding, and I just got chills saying that, it's remember that you're watching.
Mhm.
It's just that little, there's like a tiny little stepping back, or I like, because I use maps on my phone all the time to give her just zoom out, just ever so slightly zoom out and just remember in the middle, it just takes a split second. I don't have to
Mhm.
have more time. That's something that ego really got me on, and I fell for it a lot in my earlier
Yeah. Yeah.
learning is that, well, I don't have time to sit and meditate for 5 minutes. Well, I'm not being asked to. I'm not being
Right.
asked to. And so the rules about that, the rules about actually practicing that and getting in touch with our true nature doesn't have anything to do with expending time. And
Yeah.
so I just really find it very important for us to be reminded and to share with one another that it is possible to be in that watching, restful state, and that it is safe to slow down. That took me a long time to get, and I have gotten it now. I allow myself to lay down. I never used to allow myself just to rest my eyes for 15 minutes. Nope, not okay. It's okay now. And it's such a gift to give to ourselves, to allow us to rest. So thank
Yes.
you. Is there anything else coming up around that? It's really key. It makes this teaching actually applicable. We can apply it because it does seem that it takes you have to sit and meditate in a certain way, and Spirit will give all the means to us if we are just willing to pause just for a moment.
Yeah. 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 I think the time thing is really important. And, when I was working, it was a lot harder to do. But now I say, I have the time and I can do this, in the grocery store. I have people smiling at me and it's like, oh, that's right, I'm smiling. I bring that light with me wherever I'm at, in the car, wherever I'm at. And I do have time. And I bow my head before I take off in the car. And it is thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for that peace and that love being here. And then I can laugh when Greg does something, when he decides that he's Speedy Gonzalez, or if somebody else decides to pass me. Most of the time because I'm at peace, most of the time I'm fine. But sometimes I feel like I need to do something, or especially if I need to I need to get on a ramp and go over 3 lanes of a busy traffic in a half a mile. And that I have to do every Saturday when I go to the farmer's market. Or another word, I get to.
Mm.
I get to do these things. I don't have to do it. I, of course, would say that yes, we have to do it. but I don't have to do it this lifetime. But I get to. And I'm doing it for the whole. I'm doing it for the whole. I'm not doing it for just me. And so I have the time. Time was set up for diversion, to keep me occupied and in the dream and connected to the whole, to ego rather than to the whole spirit, or connected to fear rather than to love and to peace. So yes, I have the time. There's nothing I would rather do. And yes, sometimes if I'm in the grocery store, I can't close my eyes, but I can say thank you. Thank you for being here. Sometimes it's out loud, and then I laugh. Most of the time, I don't. Most of the time, it's just thank you. And thank you for everyone being here. Thank you, everyone, for doing what we all wanted to do as the whole insane split sun. Thank you, everyone. You're showing me what I wanted to see originally, but now I have time to look at it differently. I have time to remember that this isn't the truth and that this was just the dream that we wanted to see. That's it. And so, yes, I'm seeing it. So, of course, I'm going to see this and I'm going to see that. Of course, I'm going to see that this person over here, or ego, is going to try to tell me to blame that person over here. This political season is just perfect, of course, and it's just perfect, a lot of healing going on. And now I can see the light inside of them. They're just doing what they're supposed to do because this is what we wanted them to do. So yes, I have time. I have time when I'm brushing my teeth or flossing my teeth to say thank you a couple of times, to take a nice deep breath. Thank you. I have time. No matter what I'm doing, where I'm at, I have time. I'm done.
We have all the time we need. In fact, not a second more and not a second less. We have exactly the amount of time needed to wake up. It's given freely and it's being used by the Spirit.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
so powerful to sink into that. As you were sharing, Greg, thank you so much. We do have the time. We have the perfect allotment of time. So there's no need to worry. And Jesus assures us in the Course that any lesson that is not learned will be presented again in perhaps a different form. So, so there's no need to side with the ego, to say that there's anything to regret or feel ashamed about. Lessons are learned in their perfect timing. And to really trust that and to let go of the need to blame the learner. The learner is really precious to me. And what comes out of that, you sharing about for me, it's a way to keep it very, very simple, to thank everything for appearing as it has. In my mind, I have a stack of scripts and I've uh, passed them around, and there's endless characters, and they take the script and they read it and then they act out the part. And I've given myself a script as well. So everything is scripted. And that script is just based on an innocent child being afraid, an innocent, fearful belief that's not true. And that's true of me and all of us as one. And when I was taking my ministerial training, my facilitator was just so helpful and clear. She said, "Who am I to blame the actors? I wrote the script. Who am I to judge? They're playing their part perfectly, aren't they?" I'm like, That's true. And that's very helpful for me when I tend to get caught up and forget to step back, when it's hard to step back. That thankfulness puts me back in a position of thanking my brother for revealing to me the content of my own mind and what I'm being asked to forgive today in this moment. And if I'm not able to, it will just reappear. And spirit is in charge of all of that. And I just love focusing on that. It is so precious to focus on the benefits of letting Holy Spirit or our inner teacher take the wheel. It is so beneficial. He's got the map, he's got the plan, he knows where we're going, he knows everything about it, everything that came before, past, present, future. I don't need to worry about any of that. And the part of me that is tempted to worry is exactly what I'm being asked to forgive and to have compassion for and to love. Um, and I feel that's really important too. And part of kind of what you're sharing is this letting go of the battle, letting go of the need to battle the ego, thinking that's the way out. There's no need to do that. The ego loves to battle. And so that's only just going to feed its own purposes, which will never lead to peace and will never lead to resolution, to true clarity. Yeah.
One more thing on time, and that I could go through this process, the forgiveness process, from something from my childhood or from something from a lifetime that was before Greg. And I could go through it. I could go through it 2 hours after something happened that ego says, oh, see, you've been doing this for a long time. You messed up. But I can forgive it at that point. Instead of getting sucked into it, I can forgive it. I can get sucked into it too. It's okay. Because eventually I'm gonna have enough. I'll get sick and tired of being that way, of being sick and tired, because it is being sick. That's what the course calls this whole dream, is that we're sick. It's just so we have the tools. We can forgive it, whether we get it immediately or 2 seconds later or 50 years later. So I'm done.
Thank you. Yeah, a couple things that come to my mind to share is this idea that forgiveness and miracles are retroactive. Jesus says this in the course. It's just mind-blowing, all of the things that he clues us into, to say, don't worry about it. I can take care of what you thought has already been done and what can't be fixed. And what I think of is the forgiveness journey with my father that started before he died. It was a very, very painful relationship. And I just felt to start to reach out to him. This was even before I found the course. So the spirit, I never would have talked this way then. I didn't have this kind of vocabulary, but I knew that I had the wherewithal to realize that I had to take responsibility for my grievance against him, which was extreme. And anybody that I told the story to, it was a compelling story. Well, of course you were mistreated, and of course he's messed up, and it's not your fault, and all that. But years go by of just being imprisoned by hatred and separating myself from my family because of this. And I decided I'm going to reach out to him. And I realized that he just didn't have the emotional capacity to do so. In that way, he was a child. He wasn't emotionally developed to reach out in any way. He was really stuck in his sameness. And I wanted to take action. So I did. I wrote him a letter, and then that really kind of broke things down for him. I thanked him, even though our childhood was less than perfect. I thanked him for what he did instill in me, and you did do some things right, and I'm thank you. And it just really broke the walls down. And he died not too long after that. And I was so glad that I took the time to reach out in that way. I just was so like, oh, I'm so glad I was brave enough to do that because it was really terrifying. We can be enraptured with this idea that if I reach out, I'm gonna stick my neck out there and then it's gonna be chopped. I'm gonna be punished or I'm gonna be abandoned. And that's not at all what happened. And then after he died, I really worked on our relationship and spirit. I would ask spirit, what is this? I was
Yeah.
having body pain, excruciating body pain, and I just surrendered completely out of suffering. And I said, what is this? Please, there's something behind this. I know it. What is this really? And suddenly my dad was there in my mind. I was shown a series of images. I was given this amazing download of information that I just see my
Yeah.
dad completely differently. I was told that we were warriors of light. And I was like, my dad, we were warriors of light. I mean, it was just, it just completely broke down my defenses. And that was long after he passed. And that healing continues. And I do thank him, in the years following, thank you for joining with me. For some reason, we needed to experience that. And we needed to go through a lot of suffering in our early lives, in my early life with him, in order to break the shell, break that ego shell that insists on isolation and dysfunctional coping mechanisms and distance and don't share and all of these rules that the ego seems to have.
Mhm.
And it really is so powerful. And I feel that sharing these kinds of experiences can give us and one another hope that what we thought was a closed door and that it was done and that it's sealed with pain or it's sealed with suffering, not the case. Spirit is more than happy and is eager to help us and to show us a new perspective of these events that seem to be in the past or even things that are perceived in the future that are to come. He's happy to take that. And
Mhm.
and it doesn't really take much. It doesn't take much to open that door and to allow that light and that reinterpretation to come in.
Mhm. It really brings up a really, I think, key part of the course is that the forgiveness process doesn't necessarily change the form. It did to a certain extent, but this is a mind healing program. And so you got the mind healing after your dad passed. That's when you were able to do it. That's when, you know, um, and I wanted to elaborate just a little bit more that it doesn't necessarily change the form, the dream. Not everybody smiles at me at the grocery store. Some people run into me, but they usually don't because I am proactive. I know that somebody's coming around the corner, but I have my smile and I look around the corner. But the other thing that I was given as we were talking is that Jesus says on that he learned his last lesson on the cross. The form doesn't necessarily change. He still was crucified. So it doesn't necessarily change, but it's the mind healing that does. And he probably didn't have as much pain as what most people would have, or none. I don't know. None of us were there in this particular lifetime. And so I just, it's in the mind, and that's what you were given by Holy Spirit. that it's a mind healing. So you went in and dived in. So I'm proud of you for that. Thank you for your part in the healing of the sonship. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, I thank you, and I thank the Holy Spirit, and that body pain brought me to that point. So this vehicle and believing that I'm a body, the whole thing is a setup that Spirit uses. It's that is really the beautiful thing about allowing ourselves to be carried rather than dragged through our lessons. That's something
Right.
else that's really coming in so clearly for me as we're sharing is this idea of being a happy learner rather than insisting on learning through suffering. At first,
Right.
it doesn't seem possible to choose peace before there's a tremendous amount of suffering at times. Certainly in my life, I've chosen the suffering, the rocky, thorny path.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's it's beautiful to share and to be learning more and more that the happy learner doesn't, as you have stated, doesn't have a perfect looking life, doesn't have a full bank account. It doesn't look a certain way in form. We're called to continue to look beyond the appearances and to be grateful that we're merely dreaming, to be grateful for the help, to be grateful for our triggers. And that's something the
Yeah.
focus that you have, Greg, on that gratitude for what's triggering me. It's not the trigger's fault. I need to take responsibility for myself, that for my state of mind, for my experience. That's my choice. So when I can join with the form, whatever it might be, and just as you said, kind of, bow or just say, okay, I see you. I see you and I thank you for showing me what I have to learn, even in the discomfort of the trigger, even in the discomfort of the conflict or the squeeze or whatever's going on or the body pain, to thank it, because it is bringing us all back to the spirit, because the suffering increasingly is intolerable. Certainly on this journey as time goes on, I am hypersensitive to suffering. It does not escape me for long. I don't go days and weeks allowing myself to suffer without being consciously aware of it. And so it's more and more intolerable, and the surrendering happens. There's a quickening there. And I really feel that we're all experiencing that quickening because of what the forms in our lives are showing us. As I join with people on a regular basis that are on an awakening path, they have all shared this with me in the last couple of months, that things have really been pushing their buttons, and there's more of a more of a more of a surrendering, a quickening of that, of, oh, I really do need to see this differently, and I'm willing to do this, and oh, I instantly feel so much better. And so those rules that the ego tries to kind of place on the Son of God are all being broken, and only to find that there's peace right on the other side of it. There's just peace and joy and relaxation, resting, just waiting on the other side of that.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. I got COVID a year ago or so, and I milked it. I said, cool. I get to relax. I get to lay in bed. I get to sleep. I get to give thanks hundreds of times a day. And it was a peaceful experience. I'm sure it probably helped eliminate the COVID a little bit faster, but it may not have. I don't know. But at least I went through it with peace, not kicking, not wows me, or oh my goodness, like A Course in Miracles says, this is all my thoughts. And that's like, that's not really what it means. It just means that this was part of the script, like you said. So this was part of the script. Now I'm going to change hands. Instead of the ego's hand of fear or getting mad, I can hold on to the Holy Spirit's or to love's and peace's hand, Jesus' hand, and just go through it. I can go through it. Whose hand am I holding as I go through this dream? Whose hand? And yes, I flip-flop back and forth every once in a while. But that's where the healing is. I think we forget that that's where the healing is. The remembering and the healing by seeing it. And if I get caught in it. So beautiful process. So I'm done.
Yeah, I'm recalling sharing with you before we started our interview that today's been, I've been challenged today with some emotions. I've got some stuff going on, and my mind has been very preoccupied. And yet, it's a time of deep, deep learning. I mean, these are lessons that I have needed for my whole life. Lessons about clear communication, lessons about how I impact others, just all kinds of lessons about it's just so big. There's so much there. And yet there's some sadness and some things are changing. And right as we were joining before I started recording us sharing, I heard in my mind, it's today's a challenging day. And then I heard the inner voice say, what challenging day? You're the Son of God. And it was just this, ah, you know, this even that, saying it's been a challenging day or it is a challenging day. It allowed me to be fully present in this moment with you and to be of usefulness and of helpfulness for all of us. Um, and again, I think that just speaks to how immediate the help is there. It's just right there. And so any temptation to think that there's some kind of maneuvering or series of events that need to happen or an agreement from another, not necessary at all. And I find that to be very hopeful as well. So I just felt to share that. I'm not sure why, but I'm really grateful that
Beautiful.
that the spirit just answers so clearly and reminds me I'm the Son of God. I am not who I think I am.
Right.
Not who I think I am. I'm not where I think I am. I'm actually so clueless that I can form no opinion that is reliable on my own.
Yeah.
I do need
Right.
help, and I'm grateful for his help, and I'm grateful for all of my brothers and all of the circumstances that come in moment by moment to bring me love or bring me the next little breadcrumb or the next stepping stone or to remind me of a call for love that I haven't answered yet. If it's love or a call for love, it can only be those two things, and both of those things benefit me. Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole sonship.
That's right.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Let's take us all off the hook. I find myself saying this. Let's take Robin off the hook. Let's put away the punching bag. She's not a punching bag. The world's not a punching bag. Just take it off the hook. We're all off the hook. It's okay. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so I feel to ask you next, about your experience of helping to run the Pathways of Light Course in Miracles 12-step weekly teleconference. That is how I first met you, doing these teleconferences a number of years ago. And I found them to be so rich and helpful as someone who's dealt with addiction, um, alcohol sobriety I just passed my 11-year anniversary, which is wonderful. And being a Course in Miracles student and realizing how those paths really complement each other and helping those that have that kind of journey or have that storyline in their lives to really help strengthen both the spiritual practice of A Course in Miracles and our sobriety journey, and really our emotional sobriety, bringing that into clearer focus, and integrating all of that into a single experience. I've found on my journey that I've wanted to kind of keep thinking that I had to keep certain things segmented, like the little sections on a tray in a lunchroom. You know, you've got your thing here and then the other
Mhm.
thing here, and they don't touch. I'm learning that's not necessary at all. In fact, it's just another barrier to integrating and to learning and to transferring our training and generalizing our training to all aspects of our lives. Um, and so I know many people get value from that, and it's been something that's been really coming into focus for a lot of Course in Miracles students, because a lot of us have been through on the 12-step journey. And I'm just wondering what you have to share about that. And I feel it's important to remind people that there is a resource there that is free of charge, that you can just listen in. And it's just there for you. It's there for you to glean comfort and fellowship. Fellowship's a big part of the 12-step community. And I feel really strongly that fellowship is a huge part of our learning as we join with one another on our journeys. So please share if there's anything coming to you about that.
Yeah. Reverend Terry Dubler and I have been doing this for just about 6 years, because my sobriety date was Monday, the 23rd, and 6 years ago. And for me, I had already done A Course in Miracles. I've done the forgiveness work. I like that you brought up the fellowship part, because that's what Greg needed.
Mm.
I needed, and but until then, I thought that it was a Christian-based thing. And I walked in to my group and realized that they were called the Miracles Group. Realized that I walked in on a Sunday when they were doing a meditation, and I love getting in that recliner and closing my eyes to meditate. And so it was perfect. And so I needed the community. And then the 12th step is to help others as well. And for me, I take it a step further to help others in the mind. And that means helping every single brother and sister in every single situation that ever has been, ever will be, and now. And so I take it a little bit further. So what we do on the 12-step call, right now we're in the middle of the text, so we're going through the text, and actually we're almost 3/4 of the way done with the text. We just take one section at a time, and we try to compare it to the 12 steps. And like you said, it is amazing how many words fit perfectly. 12-step doesn't talk about the illusion or the dream, but it kind of talks that we're the ones doing this to ourselves. So we look at the similarities, very similar to the 12-step. Look at the similarities. Don't look at the differences. When we walked into the room, that's what they told me. Look at the similarities. And that's what we do with this call as well. And try to just focus on the similarities, how we can go through all of this. And it really is. And it is removing the blocks. That's what all of the steps are. It's removing the blocks to love, to our true self, to get that spiritual awakening, which the 12th step has, which the 12th step says that we will have. And so it's very rewarding. And I do enjoy the joining and the fellowship and the comparing. And so it has been a great journey for me, and a healing journey, to continue to look at the similarities. So, and Terry and I have a really good relationship also. And Reverend Bill was on it for a couple of years, and he has a lot going on right now. So he is on the call still most of the time, which is really nice. So he still blesses us. But it's Mary and Robert asked Terry. Terry and I went through ministerialship together,
Oh, beautiful.
and they didn't. I hadn't gone through the 12 step yet, or walked into the rooms, as a matter of fact. And they asked Terry, and Terry started it about 2 months or 3 months after I walked into the room of AA. And so I was on every call. And so she asked me to join immediately because she was doing it all alone and doing a great job. But she asked me to join within a couple of weeks. And I knew that it was the right path. And we have people coming and going, and it's a perfect size group because people find out how they can incorporate both together. And a lot of them don't need to come back, but there's a lot of them that do stay and have been with us since the beginning too. And so it's perfect either way. At first, Ego was saying that we're a failure, that some people join us for 6 months and then stop, and it really isn't. It's that they found how they can incorporate it together, and hallelujah, now they can go on and practice these principles in all their affairs, which is step 12 again. And so it's the perfect thing. And so it is, yeah, every Thursday at 7 Central, 7 Eastern, 6 Central is the Pathways call. So
Wow. Yeah, and we will have that in the YouTube video description as well, that call information, so that people can look into that and participate. And I love that, just the term fellowship. When I first started going to meetings, and when I first came out of my solo journey with A Course in Miracles, which really started with Pathways. And Gary Renard's mention of Pathways of Light in one of his books. I mean, that's how it
yeah,
all
yeah,
started. And I was just stunned. It's like,
yeah,
there's other
yeah,
people doing this. This isn't just me, Robin the weirdo, feeling like this is my way out of suffering. Because so clearly, when I found the Course, it just, as soon as I actually opened it up in quiet and started reading a lesson, I mean, it was just so clear that, oh, this is my way out. I can actually really transcend suffering. It was just clear. And then it was just a
yeah,
lot of trying to do this on my own and kind of spinning in circles and intellectualizing and all those phases that I needed to go through to get to
yeah,
where I
yeah.
am. But then to join, through the Pathways courses and then learning about study groups, YouTube videos, I mean, it just opened my horizons, because I realized there's other people doing this and I don't have to, it says it's a self-study course, but that doesn't mean I have to sequester myself. And yet the
Right.
course, and Jesus talks about, it's about relationships. He talks endlessly about relationships and relating to your brother, and that your brother is you. And as you give to him, you receive, and all of these things about, he's trying in so many words to remind me of unity. That word unity has been coming in really strong for me lately. This idea of unity, I've forgotten about unity. I thought that I thought that I was this separate little piece over here, and that everything is kind of out there, and I have to grab at it, or it's all of that mechanical sort of stuff. And so joining, and that idea of fellowship, of being a fellow, it's your colleague. They're on the same level. There's no hierarchy there. And so right there's that idea and experience of equality. And and that these joinings are free. They don't require you to do anything but just to show up. There's no requirement to share if you don't feel comfortable. There's no requirement not to share. It's just so allowing. There's such an allowance that you can show up exactly as you are in that moment, in that present moment, and you can be authentic and yet listen and glean lessons from others. And then if you're inspired to share, you certainly can. But certainly in 12-step rooms, it's really about what we learn from one another about ourselves through being quiet and listening to someone authentically share about what they're going through. It is so valuable. And I find when I get caught up in my woe is me story, the thing I want to do is isolate. And I'm going to be over here and I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm just going to hold this in or whatever. And that's just an ego ploy to delay healing. It's nothing more than that. And there's always a means to join, even if you don't want to share, if you don't want to verbalize anything or you don't want to give your name. It's just such a free and open way of allowing our hearts to open to this idea of unity, of being truly joined, and to be supportive and supported. I've learned through the fellowship of study groups for A Course in Miracles and 12-step is that my sharing is really valuable. When I share, it is a gift to somebody else, and I don't even need to know how or why or the context. But that feedback that you do get in these gatherings is so crucial, and it just helps us to bolster our inner strength and to keep going on the journey, to keep practicing, to keep surrendering. And so I think it's huge in my journey. I join several times a week with various people in various different kinds of ways, and it's absolutely crucial. And the trust and the support and the safety that's there really is invaluable. And it's a huge part of my journey, and certainly I would imagine it is for you too, as you've already shared. And it really flies in the face of what the ego continues to tell us, that we need to kind of divide and conquer. That's the ego's mantra, I think, is divide and conquer. I'm going to divide the sunshine. I'm going to divide what can't be divided, and I'm going to, try to keep you in line. And that's not at all what we're here to do. We're here to just let that go and experience ourselves as true fellows, no matter what our brother is showing us and no matter where we find ourselves in the moment. There truly is equality and union and joining. So thank you for providing that service. Thank you to you and Terry. It's just such a speed up for my journey. So, and I hope that's helpful to anybody who might be listening, that there's so many ways to join, and it doesn't even have to be a Course in Miracles a group. There are so many ways to join and to reflect through others. We're constantly able to learn from others if we just allow ourselves to show up.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. And don't forget in the mind as well. So it's the healing, and the healing is in the mind as well. So, and the joining has been astronomical for myself as well. When I do join, and I have I just about every day I have 2 calls that I most of them are one-on-ones, but they're calls for joining, and they help both of us. It's not, we're both the teachers, we're both the learners, and we both get healed, including when we were on a group call as well. So, yeah, joining. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
In fact, that was the main reason why I needed to join the 12 step, is that I needed that joining, and I needed face to face, and I needed the diversion, um, to be with my fellows, to be with others. And it was at a time that I, um, really needed that, and it was perfect. And so yes, the joining is, um, depending on how spirit brings it to you, uh, it can be different, you know. So in the mind, one-on-one, in a group, on the phone, Zoom, or right at the meeting, which is what I needed at the time. So I spent, oh golly, from 2 o'clock until about 7:15 at this clubhouse, and just loved it. Absolutely loved it. I'm done.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it really helped me work through just really look with detachment at this idea of unworthiness for me. It's been a big
Yeah.
theme in my unraveling, is really having to look at that over and over again and learn to detach from that and let that go. And that means standing in my worth, doesn't it? You know, what's the opposite of unworthiness? Is worthiness, value, being cherished. And and so when I do connect with anyone, um, and I share openly about what's going on with me, or whatever it is, or I extend myself in some way that feels inspired, I am reminded of my inherent worth beyond the personality self, beyond Robin. It's not about Robin anymore. It's just, she's just the vocal cords. She's just the means, like the conduit. And that's been really beautiful for me, because that was really a sticking point. It really held me back for a long time. I didn't seem to be able to get out from under that. And it's something, you know, there's still remnants there. Not that it's completely gone, but boy, in the joining, you learn of the value of yourself and your brother. It at first is amazing that, wow, all I did was share honestly. All I did was share of myself from a deeper place in my mind and my heart. And I did so, I was just willing to be open. And then this person is reflecting back to me all of this helpfulness and value. And wow. So that idea just continues to be unraveled, this belief in unworthiness, and that there's some special magic or special activity that needs to be done or achieved in order to sort of get worthiness. It's not that at all. And I would say that's probably the most, if I were have to describe it, the most, just the precious gift that's given and received is acquainting ourselves with our own worthiness again, know thyself, know thyself. I
Mhm.
say that often to spirit, I would know thyself. I would know myself truly. I would know myself as one with God, as one with the creator, as one with unconditional love. And
Mhm.
so beautiful. And we all have that value, and we all, as you've already stated, we are all teaching and learning all the time. It's just a matter of what teacher
Mhm.
are we teaching with, and what are we learning? Yeah, are we learning
Yeah.
from the teacher of fear? Are we learning for the teacher of peace and truth?
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree.
Just checking in here, see if there's anything else that spirit would like us to share about. If something comes to mind, please do. But I'm just going to check in and see and look at my little notes. Hmm. Yeah, I just feel to close by reminding, I wrote down 4 words since we've been speaking. The first one is thanks, to give thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Trust. Trust that everything will be given in its perfect form for the benefit of all, for the benefit of the mind. To watch. It's
Mm.
that stepping back in the mind again, not necessarily in the body, but stepping back in the mind and reminding the mind that it is the dreamer, not the dream. And so it's safe to step back and it's safe to give thanks and to trust. And then finally, that resting.
Mhm.
I just feel that's so important for us to allow ourselves to do that in the face of temptation of being the hamster on the hamster wheel in the mind.
Yeah.
I can be a hamster in a hamster wheel and be completely still in bed, can't I? My mind can be racing a mile a minute, and the body's perfectly still. And so that should really
Mhm.
tell us, oh, that's nothing to do with the body. It's not activity. I need to go back to where the solution is in my mind. I need to step back into the mind. And that's where all the guidance and all the support, in fact, where the truth resides in our mind. So I just feel it's so important to stress as we close today, to allow ourselves to rest in God, allow ourselves to rest and to be shown
Mhm.
moment by moment, day by day, and to rest in the trust and the faith that whatever appears before us is the perfect circumstance and the perfect lesson, the perfect messenger for whatever
Mhm.
message that our mind needs that day, and for whatever little gentle pointer that it's pointing
Yeah.
to. It's just perfect. No need to change or fix, no need to understand or describe, just to rest in that trust. And I want to thank you, Greg, for being such a beautiful demonstration of that for us. It's blessed me. It just comes through in everything, that how you express yourself and how you present in this world. And I am truly, truly grateful for this opportunity to join with you today. I just feel so supported by it and blessed by it.
Thank you, Robin. I
Mm.
agree with you as well. Very blessed.
And with that, that concludes this installment of Holy Spirit, Take the Wheel. Thank you so much for joining us. May you be in peace.
Amen.